your stomach.
Right. Kind of like the Twix left and right kind of thing.
Yeah, actually.
My back breaks down.
Yeah, they did?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it's like the McRib. It's like, the McRib always comes back. Oh no, it's going away. It'll be back in a year. Don't worry about it. The first time it went away, I was like, oh my god, the McRib's leaving. Then it's like the Rolling Stones. They just keep touring. Every year. God, they'll never die.
Actually, I think their guitarist has been dead for 7 years. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Keith Richards. Wow.
Yeah.
You guys, would you like to take some questions?
Yeah, there are, yeah.
Anybody have any questions left? Come on over here. Come on over here. I can't stand on the speakers, but we want everybody to get
We've been together a lot this weekend.
And I'm so glad we've had this time together.
Yeah.
Well, hi. I like your shirt. All right, so what's your name? Hi, Caitlin.
What do you got? I was just wondering for Todd. And they really can't say much, but how are you liking K so far?
K's cool. It's the animation. It like looks very familiar, but it also has its own style, which is fun. And with K, with that show, the way that we record it, I don't know much at all outside of my storyline and exactly what's happening. So some shows like Fairy Tale, I'll get the full backstory and things like that, but just the way that we record it in LA, it's a little bit different, so it's a little more fractured existence, so I don't know all the different gangs and their power struggles and stuff for the most part. I know that I have a bar, and people use it as headquarters, and I have to talk some smack and some sense to some people from time to time. So I hope you like it when it comes out, and I sure hope I can talk about it. I'm pretty sure I can, because I just did. But that was a very different show from like Rise of the Nura Clan that I had done right before that, where I played this guy. Oh gosh darn it! I played two characters in that show, but my guy doesn't have a neck. He just has a floating head on his body, and it's very strange. I mean, I guess I'm like this guy's like, what's strange about that? No neck? Okay. But to me, that's strange. But yeah, that was fun too.
Thank you. Come on over here. Hi, what's your name? Maeve. Well, hello, Maeve. What kind of question do you have, Maeve?
I have a question for the Iranian Emperor Shing.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that Ling Yao has a thing for food, always eating. Italy loves pasta. And yesterday we were talking about dashboard cookies. Is there a correlation between you and food and the parts you play?
Yeah, well, that's what's been so hard about this workout, is because I have a great respect for food. That's why people, so I used to do fast food all the time. Now, especially, I would turn to food as like, subconsciously as like a stress reliever, you know what I mean? And so, I was a big boy. I was overweight, quite overweight. And I just turned my perspective on how I interact with food. And I got respect for food. And so I cut fast food out, I cut sodas out, and then I started really caring about what the fuel that's going inside. And so, and once I did that, it was weird. It kind of became this mission to have like the best food I could. You know what I mean? So especially in LA. LA is fantastic food. Food you can't get anywhere else. It's kind of like it's our West Coast New York in a way, Like, what are some of the favorite spots you have in LA for food-wise?
Real Food Cafe, which is on La Cienega.
Yeah.
I love quinoa, though. That's one of my favorites. Quinoa and kale. In Whole Foods, I go there a lot. On 3rd and 3rd.
I live right next to that.
You do? I didn't.
I'm at Park La Brea.
Oh, neighbor.
Yeah.
I'm on Olympic and Fairfax.
Oh, okay, you're right there. I pass you every time I go to the airport.
I always bike right near you.
There we go, see? We're neighbors and we didn't know it. But yeah, so food is awesome. I love having it. But what's been hard about this has been eating so much of it. And like cramming it, like fast too. And I've been eating super fast. Yesterday, because we had like little tiny bite-sized, fun-sized little breaks. So it's like that food that I brought to the autographs yesterday, I didn't have time to eat it. That thing was full of food. And so I went back to my room and I'm like, okay, we've got 12 minutes. Yeah. And then, it's like when Homer eats, he's like, 64 slices of American cheese. 64? Oh. 63? Oh. 60? And then it's like, 2. Oh. 1. but very fast. I don't want to do that again, because I love food. But I see people that, man, I was talking to, who was I talking to? It seems like there's this, it's interesting, because I was at this con recently, and there was this friend of mine who prides herself on how little sleep she can get, and how bad the food is she can eat. And it blows me away. That's like saying, hey, watch how much I'll hurt myself on how high I'll jump off this building. It's like, what? Why are you doing that? Don't do that. And so it's funny. Everybody has different takes on everything.
So what's part of your workout regime when you go and you work out?
Okay,
just
so
out of curiosity.
See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I work out 6 days a week right now. Usually it's like 4.
Are you working up towards something?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I've got at Otakon, I'm going to be Superman. And so I have to pack on some pounds. I stepped on the scale last night, put on about 10 pounds. And
so you're trying to gain muscle.
Yeah, it's hard. Because I'm pounding a lot of protein. So
like protein shakes.
I'm taking in like 120 grams of protein a day, which is like 4 times what you would normally take in a day. Like it's pretty much a pound. You're supposed to take like a pound of a gram of protein per pound, but I'm not doing that. I don't weigh 120 pounds. I have not weighed 120 pounds since I was like in 9th grade. But no, like, and that tells you how much of a big boy I was. I was 120 pounds right before high school. That's big for me. And so I stepped on the scale last night and I was like, hey, that's a little bit of progress. Now I'm like halfway through the workout, and so I have till August 9th. Okay, so I found Henry Cavill's workout that he did. Now he did that over the course of 7 months.
Yes.
I have 7 weeks. And so I'm doing, I won't gain as much as he did. But also when you see him in the movie, that's also about camera angles and lenses. So you can get lenses that make you seem wider and things like that. Cause he's 1 inch taller than me, and he's 10 pounds heavier than me. And so 10 pounds looks like a lot on camera. But he's lost it all now. Yeah, I'm gonna be bigger than him. But it's very difficult. It's hard to stay focused, especially because you're doing so much. So I have this journal that I have. I go, dear diary, set 1. No, but I do these little marks that sound like, okay, I did this.
When you work out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a little pen and paper, and I'm doing it. So you saw me in the gym last night. I know a couple people were there. That's what I'm doing. I'm just marking in my journal. Quincy.
Good morning.
Good morning. See that panel? How was it? It went well?
It was awesome.
Yeah, everyone said they had a great time.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
They said they didn't know where you got the elephant from, but they were like, "Well, that's great. I didn't know."
Well, I pulled that out of my pants.
Yeah, well, animal control was just very kind of letting you bring that up.
Well, they are. We also had a giraffe. That was something.
Yeah, so it was a petting zoo / panel. It was
Well,
very
yeah,
cool.
it was called Dr. Doolittle Off the Hook.
There we go. So they're very appreciative of that panel.
Yeah.
And we're taking questions over here when we have Go Gadget question coming
Well,
up.
I want to,
Yes.
gleefully, we were talking about food, and I happen to have been reading some articles about food in Japan, somebody talking about people over there. Breakfast cereals. Breakfast cereals in Japan, they almost are non-existent, if I understand correctly. They only have like maybe 1 or 2 that...
Really?
Very, very few breakfast cereals. This is correct. Well, they do have muesli
Oh, yeah.
in Japan, and then they also have a few adaptations of American cereals, like Cocoa Krispies. Is that
Yeah.
American cereal? It is, right? Yeah. Yes. So they have that, but it's in a much smaller box, probably about half the size of the box here in the States. But yeah, hardly anything. And then, cornflakes they do have. They also have genmai cornflakes, so brown rice cornflakes. Do they have those here? They do, right?
I don't think so.
Maybe?
That's like a health food. You'd find that at Erewhon, probably.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. When you only have a few options, that's part of it.
Why is that? Is that like they just...
Japanese don't really do cereal in the morning.
They don't like happiness in the morning.
different form of happiness.
So Lisa, if I may, based on that,
Yeah.
and now that you've moved back to America, how has your breakfast changed? Has it at all?
Good question.
I know.
I actually am not that much of a breakfast person. So I tend to usually drink coffee, and then I actually drink protein shakes
Oh,
in the
yeah?
morning a lot of times. Yeah, just because I don't like to eat breakfast, and so I find but then sometimes, you know, this is kind of the life of a freelance person. Once you start working, sometimes you don't have a break.
Yeah,
for like
and it's easy
till
to
the
make.
end of the day. So in order to avoid getting headaches or, you know, my stomach growling during the day, I'll have a protein shake. But I didn't really, sometimes I would eat Japanese breakfast, but I'm not really that big of a fan. I don't really like eating fish in the morning. That's just kind of, you know.
What, you don't like sushi in the morning for breakfast?
Yeah, no.
Oh, man.
Especially because when you're in high school and you're going, because I would have to commute about an hour and a half to school every day. Well, you know, that's completely fine, but it's a crowded train, and everyone is eating fish, and you can smell the fish all around you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't like fish in the morning.
So if a fish walked in here right now, you'd punch it in the face.
I would.
Okay.
What?
I'm a flounder. What'd I do to you?
Exactly.
So you went an hour and a half to school. Was that uphill both ways? Back home?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the snow?
Yeah. So I lived in downtown Tokyo, and then like near Harajuku, that area, and then I commuted to kind of suburbs of Tokyo. Yeah.
You're a hard worker.
Woo.
Yeah. Man.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to ask about that, having read about the reasons. That's very interesting. Well, let's see what else question we have. Come here,
I'm
Rebecca.
actually going to let Pinkie Pie go first because this course is before. Go ahead.
Well, come on up, Pinkie Pie. What's your name?
Ashley.
Ashley. What is your question?
I have two questions. Okay.
Okay.
My first question is for Lisa. How do American anime fans differ from Japanese fans, and like conventions differ in this country?
Actually, there aren't that many conventions in Japan. This is something that a lot of people probably don't really know, but I don't know. It's interesting because, like my generation, you'll talk to someone who is Japanese, female, and they're in their late 30s, 40s. They probably watch the exact same anime that I grew up with, which is Candy Candy. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't think it came to Japan or to the States, but also Attack Number 1 and Ace no Nerai, which is Go for an Ace. But these are three, you can kind of tell what age group that person is, judging by what anime they grew up with. So most people kind of my age are probably in that old school anime. As far as like the young kids, I don't know if there's really that much of a difference between the anime lovers here and then the anime lovers in Japan, but they don't have as many ways or opportunities, I believe, to express that because there aren't as many conventions. So maybe they'll go to Akihabara if they want, which is, Electric City, or they'll go to Harajuku area. But there aren't that many gatherings like this on this kind of scale. Probably smaller ones, but.
Is that, because I get to thinking about the fact that we live in America, and it would be kind of like going to a Scooby-Doo convention, like a Hanna-Barbera kind of convention, because that is their cartoons, that is their entertainment. Am I right on that, or do I misunderstand?
What do you mean?
Well, for Japanese children, they watch Japanese cartoons.
Yes.
Anime.
Well, and they also watch American cartoons as well, yeah.
Do they cosplay American cartoons?
Well, I mean...
Well, again,
So there's a Quincy Flynn cosplay over in Japan, which I'm very excited to see.
Me too.
Well, they just don't have opportunities really to cosplay very much, so that's the only thing. I think that there are so many more conventions here, and the Japanese aren't really aware, I think, of how much their anime and their manga are loved here in the States. They have no idea. So I always wish that, you know, a lot of them would be able to come out here and kind of see like how much people really care about their culture and about what they...
About bringing Japanese children over here? I'm on a waiting list. I'm trying to get like 5 or 6 of them.
I can help you with that. I'm
On
very well
eBay?
connected.
Oh, okay, good.
You're right behind Brad and Angela.
Yeah. But free shipping if you order 3 or more.
Free shipping.
Yeah.
I'll think about that.
I love it. They're like, we will not rest till we have a child from every country in this world,
Yeah.
except America.
Oh, thank you. Let's see what our other questions. Go ahead.
As someone who has lived in a very small town in Kansas for pretty much my entire life, what is it like living in a big city like LA? And how has that kind of helped with your career? Like being able to, with all that diversity around you?
Quincy?
Quincy. Well, let's see. I grew up in a small northeastern suburb of Cleveland called Mayfield Village. Lovely and idyllic. Eventually, I knew that to get into the entertainment industry, I would have to move to one of the major markets, New York City or Los Angeles. I chose Los Angeles, and I would just say because of opportunity sake in terms of what's going on in the studios and production, whether it be video games, original animation, television, film, narration, promos, commercials, you name it. It's great for opportunity. Anime is done there. It may be done more in Todd's neck of the woods, even though he's an Angelino now. He'll tell you more about that, being from Texas. So ultimately, I did get a lot of my skills. I got my skill set before I moved out by doing a lot of acting, improv, and taking voiceover workshops. But yeah, I mean, it's really, unless you grow up in the business, which I didn't. My dad was a fireman, a councilman, and an electrician. And my mom was a working mom, took care of us. You have to just kind of get as much, do as much preparation as you can, learn as much as you can, and then save up enough money to move out to where you'd like to be, and then get a job. That's what I did. You know, worked in a video store, and paid my rent, and took classes, and just kept asking questions and doing research and always taking the next right indicated step, and whatever it is your goal or dream is can be realized just by focusing on it.
Hoorah! Hoorah!
I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It's like you know, I've been super lucky and blessed with, you know, me growing up. I had 2 options for how life was going to go. I could have gone down the path that I was headed, which is that would have been a dead end. There's a very, I had a lot of bad influences in life. And so I could have gone down this route of badness, and everything that means. Everything you can imagine that means, that's the path I was headed down. Or I could take that and use it as a learning lesson of what not to do in life, and do the complete opposite, and see where that could take me. And so I had a lot of hard lessons that I had to learn, and people smacked me a lot in the face to get me to realize that this path was bad, and this one was good. And so when I did that, it almost kind of became an obsession to see how far I could go, and how fast I could get away from the stuff that was going on. And so I've lived in big cities, small cities, no cities, which is an odd thing, kind of in between the, you know, off the grid and things like that. And so, but mostly I've lived in big cities. And coming to LA, I was prepared in the sense that I knew I fully expected the bottom rung it for however long it took. I didn't walk in there thinking like, man, I came from, you know, because coming from Texas, doing the VO that I had done for years, you know, I very luckily and very fortunately had quite a resume built up from there. So I mean, because they chart the hours in the booth. So this is Funimation. They have 65% of the distribution market in the U.S. for anime. I was their #1 actor, male or female, in the booth for 5 years running, with the most hours logged in the booth. A distant second was Colleen Klinketbeard. So I was in that booth non-stop. And so, yeah, I had every right to think, man, when you go out to LA, you're going to tear it up. I avoided that. I fought that thought thought process, because I know that whatever you did in Texas doesn't matter in LA. You're starting over. And I was totally cool with that. I didn't walk in there thinking like, don't you know who I think I am? You better give me some stuff. Absolutely not. I did whatever I could. So when the minute I got to LA, I saved up money, like Quentin said. I saved up over 10 grand just to go, and just knowing that I was going to blow it in the first month. And I did. I blew it. I'm not partying. Not like, oh my God, it's Amoeba record! No, I didn't go there and blow my money. I was like,
That's what I did. After I had the money.
It was rent, it was joining SAG, joining AFTRA, doing this, living expenses, And I looked for every job I could, because I didn't know how the industry was going to treat me. And so I got in line to become a professor at the New York Film Academy to teach production, pre-production and post-production, principal photography, things like that in the process. That's where Bob Bergen teaches. I was going to do that. I looked up being a personal assistant. I was exploring that option. I was anything I could get my hands on that was flexible and possibly connected to the industry. But it just so happened that I got to LA 4 days later. I met with William Morris, which is an agency there. They signed me, and I began working when I got there. That's a very rare situation. And I was very fortunate, very lucky. And it wasn't just me. There are a lot of people that make things like that happen. I was talking about this yesterday. I had so many perfect storms lined up, people that were willing to vouch for me and things like that. That's why I'm so grateful for everyone in my social circle and everything that they do, because man, it's not you. That's why when they give awards for like Best Actor, things like that, it's not just Al Pacino earning Best Actor, it's the cinematographer that shot him well, it's the gaffer that lit him well, it's the makeup person that made him look great, it's all of those things. So I recognize that, so I try to keep that in mind. So if you go to a big city, if you go to LA or New York, for me, New York, hard living. Man, New York's hard living. It's a beautiful place to visit, but that's going to give you a thick skin. LA is a different kind of thick skin, I feel like. It's like, when you're in the club, man, you're having a great time. You're out of the club, man, LA's a lonely place. You know? But that's been my experience. I mean, and for you, it must be very different. I mean, coming from a totally different country. You know, how's it been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I can very much relate to your story, because I've been in radio and in voice acting in Japan for almost 20 years. And then when I moved to the States, it was the same kind of thing. Even though I networked, I let everyone know, all my clients, all, companies, radio stations, people I do the Academy Awards with, and stuff like that. I let them know a year in advance that I was going to be moving to LA, and started, reminding them, okay, I'm going to be gone, I want to do work for you there. But it doesn't matter. It's still kind of that out of sight, out of mind kind of mentality where you have to, once you get to LA, you kind of have to prove yourself again. And in many aspects, I'm still kind of going through that, because it's kind of a long process. But yeah, it is. It's really tough. But I think that change is so necessary a lot of times. I'm a firm believer in putting yourself out there and being in unfamiliar territory and really learning, because I think that's when you really learn the most about who you are and how strong you are. Excuse me, my voice. And so I had this, I wouldn't change it for the world. Like, I'm very happy with being in LA, and I have also had to do a lot of, I've also started doing a lot more interpreting, which I did in Japan, but it was more through my radio work. But now I do a lot more I'll do interpreting for press conferences, or, for even like meetings, phone calls, and whatever. But it's a tough city, I think.
It's a long, long road.